Good morning traders and welcome to today's live trading. Today is the 5th of October and as usual we are on the FTSE 100. We're just coming up sort of 10 minutes before the open now. Let me just run you through the bands that I've got marked in for today. You can see all three time frames again as we are still using the multi-wave platform. Here you can see on the 5 minutes them a bit more up close. You may notice there's not actually much of a gap between really any of these bands, and the reason for that is sort of 2 days ago we had this fantastic run up, a continuation of this fantastic run up on the FTSE, and just over the last couple of days you can see a bit better on the hourly here. We've just sort of consolidated sideways. Now if you look at yesterday's price action, that's pretty much what we got. And what that does to the pivots is they just all come in because the high and the low of the day's price action are quite close together. That means that the pivots are quite pinched up together, which sort of ends up making your bands for the next day close together like we've got today. Sometimes this can mean that the bands become a little bit obsolete, especially the ones that literally only use the intraday levels. Sometimes not, so it could be a little bit of a tricky day. I will be using them until I sort of see evidence that they're not really being adhered to by price. As far as immediate setups go this morning, I don't really have any. If it were to come down straight from the open and sort of consolidate in this larger band here, I would like to trade that back up to this band here. I think that would be a decent one. Alternatively, it's looking less likely, but if it was to shoot up before the open up to this band up here, equally I would look to sell that back down to this band just here. But you can see on the hourly really, if you were going for any trades with sort of structural confluences, there aren't really any. There's this one up at yesterday's high where it failed yesterday, and it failed quite a lot at the bottom of this band, yesterday's low. Other than that, there aren't really any standout confluences. If it was going to get down to today's S3, there's a little bit of one there. Obviously the S3 is quite a strong intraday level. That could be a decent place to look for a bounce back up. But other than that, it'll just be the usual case of just watching price and seeing how it reacts with these areas that we've got marked in on the chart today. So I'll come back to you after the open when we start getting some signals. Okay, so we're just coming up to the end of this 5 minute candle. It's about 8:20. You can see that we're getting a pin bar-ish form here. I would like it to have some form of body. I don't really like the flat ones. If it finishes like this, that's better. So the low of this candle is 83.9, so I want to be in at 82.8. Submit that ticket. So that's it, the order's been placed. I'm having to use the normal trading platform to place the trades. The Motive Wave package, I guess, that I'm using is the charts only. I think after last week's fiasco, I'd rather place it through the actual broker platform, so that I know the trades are definitely on the right account this time. It's easy to do as well. As you can see, I can just drag the ticket over to show the entries that I'm placing. I'll show you the open positions when, if and when it does trigger. It's still pushing up at the moment. So basically you can see here, usually I do like to see a test of this EMA, but even if it is going to come down and test this EMA, it's going to have to come down a fair distance anyway, and sort of this band here would be the profit target I would be looking for. So those two things marry up quite nicely. The 8 EMA on the hourly and 4 hourly are obviously miles away at the moment, as this has had quite an explosive open to today's trading. This is sort of what I've meant, in that some of these bands could become slightly redundant, especially the intraday ones. Yes, you could see there was a minor reaction to this band here, but nothing that really held it up for long at all. It's obviously got up into this 4 hour band here with a little bit of confluence from today's R2, where we've got this signal. Now if it closes above this signal now, the order will be cancelled and the signal will be null and void, and we'll keep watching. But above here we do have another 4-hour band lining up with today's R3, which is looking increasingly like it wants to go and test that band there. And then above that we've got another one. Obviously the intraday confluences end with the R3, so that is just a standalone 4-hour band. So we'll see what happens. This is pushing higher. It's looking more likely that the order is going to get cancelled, and maybe we'll look for a trade from here back down to this band, but I'll keep you posted. Yep, so that's going to be the order cancelled. I will get rid of that now. So as you can see, that ticket has been cancelled. That's the benefit of using a break past signal entry system, really. If you would have entered straight after that that signal candle, you would obviously have been burned by the next candle as it shot straight upwards. It was obviously a risk because it's moved nicely from the open this morning. So that's why I would have liked to see a break past this candle. It gives you that added confluence that the price is going to move in that direction. Obviously it doesn't always work, but it's just another thing that you can integrate to give you that, slightly higher probability that the trade will work. So we're up above this band now. Let's see if we can get up to this band. If it holds above this band and revisits this band, a potential long entry up to today's R3 could be on the cards. If it's going to flush straight back down in this candle, it won't have held above this band, so it won't have technically broken it. It'll be sort of a false break, if you like. So let's see what happens. If it can hold, retest, we'll look to go long. If it's just going to move upwards, then we could potentially look to go short. Okay, so we've just gone 10:30 now. No real signals, unfortunately, up to this point. You can see we had this original move upwards this morning. We didn't quite get to the band above here with today's R3 in there. It failed in between these two bands. We've moved back through this band and are sort of chopping between these two bands. This is really sort of no man's land at the moment because it's very unlikely that I'll take a trade either way. It would have to be at the very fringes of each band to make the risk reward worth it. For example, this pin bar just here, okay, it got to the next band, but after your entry there, you may be looking at a pip profit. Well, that's not a trade that anybody's going to take. It's just not worth it, obviously. So, really, for a trade later on this afternoon, because it's looking like it's going to be then, we would either need to break back above the top of this band or below the bottom of this band. It's looking more likely it's going to be below the bottom of this band. But if you do look over here, you can see that we're getting some sort of structural confluence here as it's moved up higher and we're coming back and revisiting this high. So it's a shame that these bands are so close together, because along from this band here would make sense in the context of the structure here, breaking above, retesting the high and going again. And you can even see it on the 4-hour as well. There's just not the room. So if there's not the room, I'm not going to force the trade. It's not worth it. So we'll see what it decides to do. If it is going to leave this sort of small area of price here, if we can get above or below, that would be ideal. And if we do, let's hope for some more signals this afternoon. So we are 5 to 5, and obviously the FTSE is now shut. As you can see, I think the last update was around sort of here. It moved up through this band here, didn't give it any signals having broken above it. It then meandered its way up to this band here with today's R3 in it. I was looking for potential signals here. this one just had a little bit too much of a tail on it there. Same with this one here. And other than that, we didn't really get any other signals there. As we were pushing up here late into the day, I thought we were going to get a pin bar to sell down, but it just carried on pushing up. So as you can see on the 4 hour, it has had a fantastic move up over the last few days, and it looks to be continuing that. So this signal never came, unfortunately. It's not uncommon. I have at least one day like this a week where decent price action, just no signals. It can be testing sometimes to sit on your hands and do nothing, but that's what you need to do. It's just unfortunate when that day lands on the live trading day, and the video that goes out is a bit pants to watch, to be honest, because not a lot happens, but it can't be helped. I hope you've enjoyed the video nevertheless. If you have, please do leave a like on it, and if you haven't done already, please consider subscribing. Like I say, I do these every week, and I'll see you next week.